How you doing, friends? This is Bill McDonald, the writing doctor here, and today I want to work on three looks like a W, three of the writing questions from the 2019 release test that gave your kids the most trouble. I'm going to work on one, revising, and the question said, what is the best revision in a sentence? And all they had to do was change the order of the words, change the organization, which was the M of arm. You add A, remove R, replace, because when they say what could best replace, you have to remove something so that you can replace it with something else. Contrary to popular belief, they don't use the word substitute in STAR. They just use the word or phrase what could best replace, what word or phrase or what sentence could best replace. So in order to replace something, you have to remove it first. I call that the red, and replace it, I call that the green. And then the one we're going to look at is the one that said, what is the best revision in a sentence? And all that means is move the words around in a certain order that makes the most sense without repeating and without changing the content. Now, in my opinion, the one that gets chosen in one of our three answers has a minor repetition, which I'll show you, but it was the best answer, so that's the one that we have to choose. The two editing questions were from the two that I was talking about, and I'm going to show you real quick in my screen. I'm going to share content, advanced content from a second camera. And so if you look at my writing folder, out of the 16 editing questions for fourth grade from 2019, 14 of them said what change should be made in sentence, or how could sentence blah 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 be changed. That's always going to be C.U.P.S, capitalization, usage, punctuation, or spelling. But the two questions that did poorly, and I'm going to tell you how poorly they did. Let me get my reading glasses on for a second. 39 and 36% on the two questions that we're going to look at in this video. Only 39% of the kids, and it was just the same question twice. What is the correct way to write sentence blank? So when you underline correct, you'll label Roth and we'll label sentence blank, whatever it is. So I'm going to show you how to do the three most difficult questions on the 2019 test, because some of you are doing it as a benchmark, and I want you to be able to show your kids while there's time how to improve the skill that comes with that. So let me just remind you there, you're going to get two revising questions in fourth grade. Sorry, two revising passages. It'll be the first two passages, and there'll always be 4 questions for the first passage and 4 for the second. The one we're going to go over is number 7, what is the best revision? And then when I looked at the editing, emergency room is editing and revising. The two lowest scoring questions were number 14 and number 20. They had 39 and 36%. They were both run-ons based on my rule that I was sharing with you on my writing folder. So you have to be able to turn a run-on into a complete thought without changing the content or without repeating. So without further ado, let's take a look at question number 7 from your 2019 release test. It said, what is the most effective revision to make in sentence 26? So your students would read the question, which is the R of my rules. They would underline most effective revision, and they would label sentence 26, and right above it, we're going to put Q number 7. because we don't want to get question numbers 7 confused with sentence numbers 26. Okay, so something's wrong when only 44% of the kids are getting a question correct in April. So let's go ahead and take a look at sentence 26 in the passage. And I want to show you when it says revision, here's my ARM graphic organizer for revision. And there's your A bracelet for add, green, red for remove and replace, red and green for remove, take something out and put something else in. And what is the best revision is the move. It's just change the order to a way that makes more sense. Now, I have that blue bracelet because some of you believe in substitute, but it's never going to say that. It's going to say best replace. But I have it there just for you guys that like to do that. And if you want, I can send you that with an open, instead of the blue, I can send it to you with the word substitute if you just really believe in that. But it's never been there since Starter started. So let's take a look at sentence 26 and see if it's a run-on or a fragment, because whenever it says what is the correct way, what is the best revision, it just means change the order. Visitors were able to build a Lego brick model, and the Lego brick model they built to any, and add the Lego brick model they built to any state on the map. Because the phrase Lego brick and model was there twice, that repetition does not make sense. So we have to change this order. It would be like putting bricks on the wall. We place them. A sentence is like a layer of bricks. And then we have another layer of bricks. And it would be like taking these 3 bricks out and putting them on the next level of the wall. And what will we leave behind? A hole. And since the word build is a form of the word built, we don't really need to have it twice. So that's kind of repetitious in itself. So we wouldn't need to have the sentence with that repetition. So that was the main issue. So let's take a look at our answer choices. And we can use the 5 W's. Let me move my face there. I'll just move it so that you can see the sentences a little bit better. Visitors who were able to build a Lego brick model, that we're going to call that what number 1, and you see my head moving, add it to any state on the map. That's what number 2. So if you imagine that head right there, they're going to use that conjunction and. I'm going to spread out my arm one way and another way. So if you can see me, there's my arm there. The visitors, that's the who, they're going to be able to build a Lego brick model and add it to any state on the map. Since they're doing 2 things, we're going to join those 2 things together with the word and. So that's a what 1 and a what 2, and that is the best answer so far because that's the only one that we've read. Let's check out B. Visitors were able to build a Lego brick model to any state on the map. They could add what they built. I see build and built, and my brain made me pause right here. Visitors were able to build a Lego brick model to any state on the map. They could add what they built. Since that would turn this sentence into a run-on, I'm going to eliminate E. I'm going to eliminate letter B first on the right-hand side. Visitors were able to build a Lego brick model, comma, then they were able to add that Lego model repetition to any state on the map. So because comma then makes this a run-on and there's repetition, I'm going to eliminate letter C. And the problem in the classroom is your kids all year long tested as a group and they worked as a class and they worked with a partner. But when they test solo, instead of reading silently like they tend to do, you want them to read softly. Have them read loudly when it's in a class setting or a group setting, and read softly when they're with a partner or testing by themselves. So if they would have read these sentences softly, they would have heard the repetition. They also would have been able to hear themselves pausing naturally to find these run-ons. So let's look at letter D. Visitors were able to build a Lego brick model, comma, then visitors could add the Lego brick model to any state on the map because of the repetition, and then because, comma, then that turns that into a run-on. So I would eliminate B, C, and D. I'm going to select one in my book right here, the first one, because it was the only one that had the same content without repetition. I'm going to put another A on the side so that I can pretend like I'm bubbling the Scantron. So I bubbled my book and I pretended to bubble my Scantron. And then what you might do is have your kids write an A next to number 7 so that they always remember that whenever they make it to the Scantron, the 7A in the book has to be match up and be right next to the 7A in the Scantron. So that's what happened with number 7. Less than half the kids got it correct because they were having a hard time silently recognizing repetition and run-ons. So let's take a look. I'm going to do the 2 run-ons for you right now. Number 14, and then just real quick so you can see how the questions are worded differently. What change? Your kids would underline change, label sentence 13, and they would write cups because change always means capitalization, usage, punctuation, or spelling. Sentence 13, the same thing. Underline change, label sentence 18, and there's a cups mistake. But whenever it says what is the correct way, they would write rough because there's only one sentence. There's only one punctuation mark. So it's either either means that it's a run-on where there wasn't enough punctuation, or it was a fragment there was too much. And so that's why my cups has 2 S's, because of those 2 questions that ask about sentence boundary problems such as run-ons and fragments, or a sentence with a fragment or a fragment with a sentence whenever there's more than one. So the second S stands for sentence boundary issues. Okay, so let's take a look at sentence 22 in the passage and see if we can figure out what in the world went wrong. Because it's editing, I'm going to go ahead and do my kinesthetic activity. Capital the, capital Frio, capital river, capital treetop is closer to home. My brain made me pause. So there should have been a stop sign right there. And the pen that I'm using, as you can see, is red. And it comes out red. It just doesn't show up red on your, where you guys can see it. If you do the annotation, you can use red. Let me try it real quick to see. Just haven't done that in a while, but let's see if I can play with this a little bit. Um, haven't used this in so long. I forgot how to make my annotate button pop out. Um, I'm sorry, guys. I'll go ahead and remove this and see if I can see it down here somewhere. Thanks for your patience with this. Don't see the annotate button, so I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but okay, anyway. If you have Zoom, typically you can annotate and you can use red to put a little stop sign there. Okay, it is located near capitalization, comma, and I would circle that yellow because we're only slowing the sentence down, separating a city from a state, capital Texas, period. So because of the run-on, we want to fix this sentence without having a run-on. So let's try letter F. Capital. The capital Frio, capital river, capital treetop is closer, period. Capital to home, comma. That sounds weird. It's closer to home is what they were trying to say. So I'm going to eliminate letter F because I don't sound like that doesn't sound good. Capital the capital Frio, capital river, capital treetop is closer to home, period. Capital it is located near Leaky, comma, capital Texas, period. Now, as you notice, all they did was they put a stop sign exactly where I drew my wall inside the passage. So that one seems like it would be the right answer. Think of a question mark like an ear where someone's listening, and the period like someone is responding. I listen to it, and my response is, I think sounds like the best one so far. Letter H. Capital the, capital Frio, capital river, capital treetop is closer to home. Pause. As a result, it is located, I'm not supposed to pause, near capital Leaky, comma, capital Texas. So because of that run-on and that pause where I'm not supposed to pause, I'm going to eliminate letter H. And we already know that there's a run-on, so we can't pick letter J. So the one that sounded the best was letter G, and all it did, I read it, I underlined, I labeled in both places, so I can put two check marks on each one. I eliminated 3, H, F, and J, and I selected one in the book, one in the Scandron, and pretend that 14 G. So whatever you circle in the book, you'll make sure you circle 14G in the Scantron. All right, so there's one more. It was number 20, and again, it's the exact same kind of question. Notice I'm not reading the entire passage. I'm just going straight to the questions, and it says, what is the correct way to write sentence 10? Read the question we did, underline correct, label sentence 10. As soon as you see correct, write ROF, which means it's either a run-on or a fragment. Only 36% of the kids in Texas got that question correct. So something is wrong with sentence 10. Let's look and see if we can see. Here it is here. Capital. One kind of air bubble is shaped like a circle and called a bubble ring. That's great, except they don't have a stop sign right there. Now, you can put a stop sign in a different place on a street, which is what's going to happen in the answer choices, as long as you don't change the content or its meaning. It happens to be the perfect C choice. So if they would have put a period there and a capital there, that would have been great. But what they did was they moved this bubble ring part with the second part of the sentence and made 2 complete thoughts to see if your kids would know how to do that. And I think that's why the kids had so much trouble. So let's take a look at our choices so we can find out which one sounds the best. Capital. One kind of an air bubble is shaped like a circle and called a bubble ring. Sounds okay, but if you listen to the second part, capital, happening to be the perfect C toy, happening, something is happening, that doesn't make sense, so that turns that sentence into a fragment. Delete G, capital, one kind of air bubble is shaped like a circle, comma, and called a bubble ring. Because we said on our other question, whenever you have 2 things, you join them with a fanboy, a conjunction. Shaped. Let me back up so you can see my arms a little bit better. Shaped like a C toy, circle, like a circle, and called a bubble ring. So I don't need that comma there. Then it happens to be the perfect C toy. So I don't need that then there. I could have just said it happens to be the perfect C toy. Let's try letter H. Capital. One kind of air bubble is shaped like a circle, comma, called a bubble ring. I don't need that comma there, so we're slowing down when we don't need to. A circle called a bubble ring. It happens to be the perfect C toy. There, though, my brain made me pause right there, so that's a run-on. So I'm going to eliminate H. And so maybe your kids just didn't have the patience to make themselves go all the way down to J. Capital, one kind of air bubble is shaped like a circle. That content was there, period. And like I mentioned, the correct answer said, I wonder if the kids would know how to move this piece of the puzzle over to the second part and make that a complete thought with 2 independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction and a comma. Capital, it, the air bubble, is called a bubble ring, independent clause, comma, and coordinated conjunction. It happens to be the perfect C toy, period. Now, it is there twice, and we don't need to be repetitious, but of the 4 choices, that is the best one because it joins 2 independent clauses. Now, we could have said, another example might have been, it, capital, it is called a bubble ring and happens to be the perfect C toy. So the 2 things without the word it could work with a little head and hands thing. So letter 8J is the best one, or you also could have removed the comma and the word it, and you could have said it is called a bubble ring and happens to be the perfect C toy, period. And so there you have it. Those were the 3 most difficult questions on the 2019 test. Try one of those strategies with your kids, or try all 3 of them. They're kind of all 3 different ways. Email me at writing_doctor@yahoo.com if you have any questions. Message me if you would like one of the other editing or revising questions modeled. Please share this video with your writing teacher friends, along with your 3rd through 8th grade ELAR teacher friends. And if you're a 9th or 10th grade teacher, a lot of your kids are having trouble with run-ons and fragments as well. So sometimes it's good to use in high school the 4th and the 7th grade release tests for your students who are in high school but on an elementary or a middle school ability level. And because the test questions are going to be modeled, the keyword strands will be the same as in high school as they would for 4th grade. So